What's up, guys? I'm LQ. This is the LQ Review. Thank you so much for joining me here at my YouTube channel. It's almost Christmas, guys. We're just a few days away. I've got my Dwight Schrute office shirt on. Fact, Christmas is here. Not yet, still a few days away, but I'm already in the festive spirit. And speaking of festive spirits, what could make you more festive than excellent Star Wars? And that is what we got with the 8th episode of Season 2 of The Mandalorian, Chapter 16, The Rescue. I'm going to kind of give some of my thoughts about this amazing episode of television and this amazing return to form for Star Wars. Say that with a caveat. I'll get to that caveat in a minute. But it really was a bit of a return to form in the sense that this felt like Star Wars inherently more than the sequel trilogy ever did. Now, I have gone on record as being somebody who has liked the sequel trilogy. I know. Sue me, right? I'm a fake fan. I'm a fake fan. I know how toxic Star Wars fans can be. I see them all the time. I'm a fake fan. I like the sequel trilogy. I love The Force Awakens. I thought The Last Jedi, half of it was great, half of it was garbage. Everything to do with Rey and Luke was great. Everything to do on Canto Bight was garbage. Rise of Skywalker was a bit of a mixed bag. I liked more of it than I didn't like. But The Mandalorian isn't divisive. You know, even The Force Awakens to some degree was divisive, and it's the biggest movie of all time. Well, I guess domestic, it's the biggest movie of all time. Worldwide, the biggest movie of all time is now Endgame. But it's one of the biggest movies of all time, and it was divisive. And then you look at The Last Jedi. Last Jedi was definitely divisive, and Rise of Skywalker was definitely divisive. The sequel trilogy was divisive, but The Mandalorian is not divisive. Now, I'm not saying that there's nobody that does not like The Mandalorian, but the vast majority of people, of fans, like The Mandalorian. There's people that don't, and that's fine. That's perfectly fine if you don't like The Mandalorian, but most Star Wars fans do. And I've got theories about why that is, and maybe I'll talk about those theories in another video. Not all my theories are extremely flattering to Star Wars fans, by the way. I think Star Wars fans are definitely very guilty of being people who don't want to challenge the status quo in their beloved franchise. They don't want outside of the box thinking. They want their stories to be told in a certain particular way, and anything that deviates from that is bad. And that's a dangerous place for a franchise to be. And any time that they've tried to do anything different or subvert expectations, Star Wars fans riot. Metaphorical internet riot, but it's still riot. But guys, The Mandalorian has done something that quite frankly I wasn't sure that could be done. I thought we were in this place where Star Wars was just going to be a bunch of toxic fans being toxic and hating everything forever. Everything that got put out since the original trilogy. And yes, that includes the prequels. For those of you who are too young to remember the prequels were hated. Probably even more so than the sequel trilogy was hated. The prequels are the reason that George sold Lucasfilm. The reaction to the prequels, the way the fans treated him in particular, was the reason he sold Lucasfilm. It wasn't because he was like, well, I sure could use $4 billion. No, he sold it because he was like, done. And I don't blame him. The fans were crappy people. As a whole. Not all the fans were, but as a whole, Star Wars fans were crappy. And they're still crappy today. Star Wars fans are still crappy today. Right now. So I thought that we'd gotten to this point where that's just what it was going to be. Star Wars fans were always going to be crappy. And nothing's going to ever unite, and nothing's going to ever come out in Star Wars that everybody's going to kind of universally like. And here comes The Mandalorian. And everybody universally likes it. Now, again, everybody universally likes The Mandalorian because it stays in this safe little box that doesn't really try to do anything different with Star Wars. Yes, it does tell a different story. And it does say, okay, well, we're going to have a story without Jedi. Not really, by the way. Not really. Because we're going to pull in as many fan favorites as we can. And we're going to reference as much fan favorite stuff as we can. We're going to be 16 episodes of pure fan service. It's going to be like the last hour of Endgame. Only over 16 hours or 16 episodes. That's what we're going to do. I'm not coming down on The Mandalorian. I love The Mandalorian. I think it's great. It is the best Star Wars since the original trilogy. It is. But let's not pretend that it's not doing what it's doing. Let's not pretend it's not doing what it's doing. It's staying in this safe little box, and it's not taking any risk. It's not taking any risk with the story, and it's not taking any risk with the direction that it goes, tonally or with characters or with anything. There's no risk in The Mandalorian. No risk. It's very reminiscent to MCU movies. I was just talking to my friend about MCU movies the other day, and I was like, the MCU movies don't take any risk. It's too big of a property for Disney to take risk with, so they don't take risk. It's all very formulaic, and it's all very, there's this Marvel formula that Disney's laid out, and that's fine. That's fine. I love MCU movies. But it's very formulaic. and so is The Mandalorian. It's very formulaic. And it doesn't take any risk. And fans love it. Fans love it. And you know what? Fans are like kids on Easter morning. They want to go on an Easter egg hunt. That's what fans are. Fans are kids on Easter morning. They want to go on their Easter egg hunt because they want to look for them Easter eggs. And The Mandalorian is filled. They're scattered all over. And that's what the fans are. Fans are kids on Easter morning wanting to go on their Easter egg hunt. Mandalorian Chapter 16 was phenomenal. It was really good. And it wasn't good just because Luke Skywalker showed up. That was a really excellent moment. That was an excellent moment. We got to see Luke Skywalker come in, tear down the Dark Troopers, use his Force powers, crush a Dark Trooper like a soda can. Great scene. Great scene. Dripping with fan service. Just dripping. But it was a good scene. Again, The Mandalorian comes down to a relationship between Mando and the child. Din and Grogu. That's what The Mandalorian comes down to. Whether it's good or bad, for me, doesn't depend on look, there's Ahsoka Tano. Look, there's Luke Skywalker. Luke Skywalker not enough? Here's R2-D2. Guess what, guys? We can have Bo-Katan in not one, but 2 episodes. And by the way, Boba Fett's here, but he's not going to do any fighting after the episode that he's in. Nah. It's not about the Easter eggs. It's about the relationship between Mando and the child. And this episode brought that relationship to such wonderful conclusion. We saw Mando willing to risk his life in dueling against Moff Gideon. Moff Gideon had the Darksaber, Mando had the spear, and we saw them, the Beskar spear, and we saw them duel, and we saw Mando put his life on the line to rescue the child. And then at the end, when Luke Skywalker's taking the child away, and I mean, it was such an earned moment, by the way. I was so afraid that I kind of suspected that Mando was going to take his mask off. And I was really afraid it was going to be cheesy. But it wasn't. It was such an earned moment when he takes that mask off, and then Grogu just reaches up and touches his face. And you know what? I've got little kids, and I know how just there's something magical about that little hand coming up and touching your face. And you feel it, and you just feel the love, and that, I'm sure that's what Mando was feeling there. It was just the love and the outpouring of feeling that Grogu had toward him. It went far beyond appreciation. There was a true affection there on both ends. And when Mando said, "I'll see you again," he better, because I want to see this relationship continue to evolve. You know, I know a lot of people are like, "Great. Now Grogu's gonna be dead and when Kylo Ren destroys Luke's academy." It's 25 years down the road. Literally anything can happen between now and 25 years from now. Anything. The idea that Grogu is still there getting trained in 25 years, don't think so. I know that he ages super slow, and in 25 years he's gonna be like an equivalent of a kid. But I'd like to point out the youngling in Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, who was backflipping out of the Jedi Temple when it was under attack, and he was taking down stormtroopers, and he was fighting left and right, and he finally got shot down right in front of Bail Organa, and that dude was going to be one of the greatest Jedis in the history of Jedi-ness, and he got taken down. There's no reason that Grogu can't develop skills that are beyond what even that youngling had, and then at some point be drawn back into Mando's life. Or Mando has to go get the kid for something. There's infinite number of possibilities that could bring these two together again in Season 3 of The Mandalorian. Forget something else 20 years down the road in Season 3. So yeah, I'm really hoping that we see this relationship continue, because for me, it is what makes The Mandalorian The Mandalorian. Everything else in this episode was obviously handled with great love and care, but it was that culmination of the relationship that really made this special for me. Guys, you know, I normally don't rate television. I just kind of come here and talk about television and talk about my thoughts. But guys, Mandalorian's 10 out of 10. It is top tier storytelling, and I adored every second of this season. Even Luke Skywalker's video game face, I completely forgave it. And honestly, it didn't even bother me because I was so into the moment and so into what was happening there that Luke's video game face didn't even bother me. Everything, I mean, it was just perfect. And I wasn't going to let a budget wrinkle, take away, budget constraints take away from the fact that this was perfection on the screen. So, yeah, Mandalorian, great show, 10 out of 10. If you haven't been watching it, highly recommend you binge it. Now, there's 16 episodes, about 30 to 40 minutes per episode typically. Sometimes they're a little bit longer than that. But, I mean, it's a fast binge. You can binge it real quick. And I highly recommend you do that. So what did you think of the season finale of Mandalorian Season 2? I'm sure that almost everybody adored it like I did. Make sure you leave a comment down below and let me know what you thought. While you're at it, make sure you subscribe to my channel. I put out a lot of content. Want to make sure you're up to date with everything that I'm doing. And as always, thank you so much for joining me right here at the OQ Review, where we get to talk about all the geeky, nerdy stuff that we love to talk about. Until next time, we'll see you later.